The sausage indicator. Everything you need to know. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ainslie Insights, brought to you by Ainslie Bullion, Ainslie Crypto, and the Gold and Silver Standard as the Ainslie Group celebrates 50 years. What do sausages have to do with the markets, and why should we be paying attention? Today, welcome back, Sam, to find out. How are you going today, Sam?
Great, Chris. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Very interesting title today. What are you going on about with sausages? Give us the lowdown.
Well, there's a question that's probably been on a lot of our viewers' minds, and that question is, what does the Federal Reserve in America know about sausages that we don't? And apparently, the increase in sausage purchases is a major indicator of an economic recession. What people start doing is instead of buying steaks, chicken, beef, other types of proteins, they'll instead opt for sausages or hot dogs. Basically, the cheapest sausage someone can get in the US. And that's a pretty big warning sign of what the Dallas Fed looks for in terms of what consumers are actually feeling economically.
I mean, it does make sense, right? That's going to be an area where people are going to cut
Mhm.
back. But do you think that the Fed is actually watching that and taking that data seriously? Is that your take on it?
Well, yeah, they are taking it seriously because this is part of the survey done by the Dallas Fed. And
Right.
this data came out last week, and it was pretty concerning for them. It was a special mention that it looks like one of the producers has seen an increase in sausage purchases. If we look at recent earnings reports as well, you can see that Amazon's been struggling due to people having a little bit less to spend, and McDonald's has also been having trouble with its lower income consumers not purchasing at all. So they've had to try to promote their $5 special deals in the United States.
Yep.
So it looks like restaurants and outlets are feeling it across the country, and that sausage indicator is apparently a very strong early indicator. And it's also important because a lot of this data we get, as we always talk about, inflation is this, inflation's that. It's very manipulated, and it's based on things that regular consumer might not see or feel.
Mm.
For example, how bad is inflation? Well, let's remove energy, let's remove food, let's remove all these things that people need to survive. Well, this is actually food. It's what people need to survive, and people are opting for the cheapest option, which is a really strong signal.
And that is such a good point, because often these things are removed from the metrics, as you're
Yeah.
pointing out, and we go, well, how can you remove that? Because that's the stuff we need to live off. It's the same when they remove energy, and you go, well, obviously we can't live our lives without fuel and energy. They remove those costs from it. But do you think we know with fair degree of certainty that rate cuts are coming from the Fed? Um, I would imagine that there's a lag effect, right? You're not going to see that flow through
Mhm.
straight away. Something like the sausage indicator here is telling us that people are hurting right now. How do you interpret that? The difference between the cure, in this case, cutting rates potentially, and the problem where people are suffering right now, because I don't think those two things are aligned.
Yeah, well, as we talked before, it takes about 8 months for the whiplash to follow through, from the Fed's decision to the banks to businesses to consumers. So the cure will as well. So
Mm.
people are still getting hit. People are still feeling pain, selling things that they don't want to sell, eating sausage instead of steak. So these things are still, we're still receiving damage from the rate hikes. So it might, again, take another 8 months or so, just based on historical data. It could be faster, it could be slower, but it could take a while for the cuts to rescue the markets.
And do you think that there are other trends, similar trends perhaps, that might serve as warning signs of a recession? You've talked about many things in the past. Is this another piece of the puzzle that comes together to paint that full picture?
There are some other products. lipstick and underwear often get talked about as, things people buy during recessions. Another interesting one, and this was noticed even in the Great Depression, was an increase in people wanting to watch movies. So people wanting to, it doesn't seem like something that's a necessity, when you can not afford the food you want to go and see movies or, streaming subscriptions, things like this, but people want to escape from the situation. So, foreclosing on your house, not eating the food you want, well, move into the metaverse, and then you can have some returns on your rental property, or you can pay less tax, or not be struggling if you just move into the imaginary world, into the metaverse, or into your favorite TV series.
And I mean, I think you mentioned in the article that this was really a post-COVID phenomenon too, that has obviously been linked to the inflation that came from that. So you've just sort of said we had this lag effect. How long do you see the potential for this trend to come? Does it come until we have that recession? Is this sort of a warning of a recession and then sort of flows through, and you look at the other side when people start buying steaks again, that's the sign we're out of the recession? Is that how you view the timing of this? How do you think about that?
Well, what it looks like is that people are starting this sausage indicator showing that people are starting to feel the pain. So how long that lasts? Look, it could be that 8 months that we've talked about before. Hopefully it's not that long, but it looks like the consumer is actually starting to change their eating habits, and it looks like potentially the beginning of I guess a painful point in the economic cycle.
Well, you've certainly given us some insight into how the sausage is made today. So I just had to throw that in there. I've been waiting all this episode to say that, but really interesting sort of way to look at it. And what was it, lipstick and underwear as well? So many fascinating things in there today. So thank you for that, Sam.
Yes, and hopefully, hopefully the rate cuts do have an effect quicker, and they can, lessen the overall duration of the sausage fest that's just started to happen.
Sausage fests, lipstick, underwear. We had it all today. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll chat again soon.
Thanks, Chris.